Welcome to this quiet space, a sanctuary of soft light and gentle discovery. Tonight, we are embarking on a journey into the deep reaches of the night sky, focusing our gaze on one of the most iconic silhouettes in the heavens, the constellation of Scorpio. It is a collection of stars that has watched over the earth for eons, a silent witness to the passage of time, hanging there in the velvet dark like a jewel-encrusted hook. As we begin, I invite you to find your most comfortable position. If you are tucked under a warm blanket, feel its weight grounding you. If you are sitting in a quiet chair, feel the support beneath you. Let the tension in your jaw soften. Let your eyes lose their focus or perhaps close them entirely, allowing the sound of my voice to guide your imagination. In this space, there is no urgency. There are no deadlines, no expectations, and no noise. There is only the slow, rhythmic pulse of the universe and the fascinating truths hidden within the stars. If you find that these quiet facts help you find the rest you need, you might consider subscribing to the channel or leaving a soft comment below. Your support is a gentle kindness that helps this quiet community grow, and I am so grateful you've chosen to spend your night here with me. Now, let us leave the waking world behind. Imagine the roof above you slowly peeling back, revealing a sky so clear and so dark that the stars seem to pop out in 3 dimensions. The glow of the city fades into a memory, replaced by the profound obsidian depth of the cosmos. The air around you feels cool and still, like the atmosphere of a high mountain peak at midnight. High above, the Milky Way stretches like a river of silver dust, and there, nestled within its brightest stream, lies the Scorpion. Its tail curves toward the horizon in a graceful, lethal arc. Its heart glows with a deep ruby light that seems to pulse with a slow, steady rhythm, and its claws reach out into the void, as if trying to grasp the very fabric of space. It looks like a single, cohesive creature, a drawing made of light by some ancient hand. It is comforting to see patterns in the chaos, to find a familiar shape in the infinite. But as we drift closer, leaving the Earth's atmosphere and sailing into the vacuum of the solar system, we begin to realize that the connections we see are merely a trick of perspective. The Scorpion is a beautiful illusion, a flat image projected onto the dome of our night sky, only born solely from our specific vantage point here on our small blue home. In reality, the stars that form this figure are far more lonely than they appear. As we drift further from the familiar comfort of our home planet, the flat image of the Scorpion begins to shift and warp. From our porch or our backyard, the stars of the constellation seem to sit on a single plane, like dots of ink on a velvet map. But as we move into the vastness of the 3-dimensional universe, we see that these stars are not neighbors at all. They are lonely travelers moving through different depths of the cosmic ocean, separated by staggering distances that our minds can barely grasp. Some of the stars that make up the Scorpion's head are relatively close to us in the grand scheme of things, perhaps a few hundred light years away. Meanwhile, the stars that form the curve of the Stinger might be twice as far, hidden deep in the background of the galaxy, nearly 1,000 light years from your window. To imagine this, Think of standing on a long, straight road at night. You see several distant lights flickering in the dark. To your eyes, they might look like they are standing side by side, forming a neat horizontal line. But as you walk toward them, you realize that one light is actually ahead of the other, and the third is many miles beyond that. The line was an illusion, born entirely of your perspective. The Scorpion is much the same, a celestial coincidence. If you were to travel to a planet orbiting a star on the other side of our galaxy, the stars we call Scorpius would be scattered across their sky in an entirely different arrangement, unrecognizable and nameless. Take a slow, deep breath and feel the vastness of that empty space. There is so much room in the universe for silence. There is so much room for peace. Between each star in the Scorpion's tail and the stars in its head, there are trillions upon trillions of miles of quiet vacuum. In these gaps, there is nothing but the faint, ancient hum of the cosmos. The Scorpion only exists because of where you are right now, tucked safely in your bed on Earth. It is a shape held together only by the human imagination, a bridge we've built across the stars to make the infinite feel a little more like home. It is a beautiful thought to realize that the universe is far deeper than it first appears. It isn't a ceiling. It is a vast, open sea of possibilities. As you settle deeper into your pillow, let the idea of that depth wash over you. You are not just looking at a picture in the sky. You are looking down a long, dark tunnel of time and space. And yet, even knowing that the constellation is a trick of the light, our eyes are naturally drawn back to the most prominent feature of the figure. Our gaze settles on the glowing reddish ember at the very center of the Scorpion's chest. It pulses with a low, warm light, anchoring the entire silhouette. This is the heart of the constellation, a star so immense and so powerful that it has earned a name that speaks of its legendary status among the ancients. This ruby-colored giant is our next destination, a place where the scale of the universe truly begins to defy imagination. As you gaze at that warm reddish glow in the center of the Scorpion's chest, you are looking at one of the most magnificent objects in our galaxy. This is Antares. The ancient Greeks called it Ant-Ares, which literally means the rival of Mars. Because of its deep orange-red color, it often looks like the planet Mars in our night sky. Sometimes the two seem to compete for our attention, two red lanterns hanging in the velvet dark. But while Mars is a small, rocky world, Antares is a red, supergiant star of almost unimaginable proportions. To understand how truly vast Antares is, we must look at our own sun. Our sun is 1,000,000 times larger than the Earth, a glowing sphere so big it provides light and warmth to our entire solar system. But if you were to place our sun next to Antares, the sun would look like a tiny, insignificant grain of sand next to a giant beach ball. Take a moment to imagine that scale. Feel the weight of your body on your mattress as you contemplate something so large it defies our everyday language. It is a size that invites us to let go of our smaller worries, to see how tiny they are in the face of such a majestic presence. Imagine for a moment that we could swap our sun for Antares. If Antares sat at the center of our solar system, its outer surface wouldn't just reach the Earth. It would swallow Mercury, then Venus, then our own blue world, and keep expanding until it reached all the way past the orbit of Mars. This single star is so wide that it would take light, the fastest thing in the universe, several minutes just to travel across its diameter. It is a world unto itself, a sphere of glowing plasma so immense that it creates its own weather, its own magnetic storms, and its own sense of gravity that reaches out across the light years. In the stories of the stars, Antares is known as the core Scorpii, the heart of the scorpion. It is the steady, pulsing center of the figure. It is interesting to think about the heart of a living creature here on Earth. In a real scorpion, the heart is a long, thin organ that runs along the back, quietly and rhythmically pumping fluid to keep the creature alive as it moves through the desert sands. It is a delicate, necessary rhythm. In the sky, the heart of the scorpion is a furnace of ancient energy, burning through its fuel and casting a gentle, rose-colored light across the void. It feels right that such a large, celestial creature should have such a massive heart. It gives the constellation a sense of life, a sense of warmth in the cold vacuum of space. As you lie there, you might imagine you can feel the slow, steady pulse of that giant red steed, beating once every few million years, a heartbeat so slow and so deep that it resonates through the very fabric of the cosmos. The light it emits is not the harsh white-blue light of a young star, but a soft, aged amber. It is the light of a star that has seen eons pass, a star that has grown large and weary, content to simply glow in the dark. This massive heart anchors the scorpion, giving it a center of gravity and a point of reference. Even though it is hundreds of light years away, its presence feels close, like a campfire burning in the distance on a cold night. We find comfort in its glow, knowing that even in the vastness of the galaxy, there are these great, warm anchors holding the patterns together. But as we look at this heart, we must also realize that the light we are seeing is not happening right now. To look at Antares is to look back into the depths of history, seeing a glow that has traveled a very long way to reach your eyes. As you settle deeper into your pillow, consider the journey that light has taken. In the vast, silent vacuum of space, light is the ultimate traveler. But even it has its limits. Antares sits roughly 550 light years away from our small blue planet. This means the soft amber glow you might see in the night sky isn't a live broadcast. It is more like a letter from the past, written in photons and sent across the void centuries ago. When the light hitting your eyes tonight first began its journey from the surface of that red supergiant, the world was a very different place. It was the mid-1400s or early 1500s, the height of the Renaissance. While those ancient photons were just beginning to push out into the darkness of interstellar space, Leonardo da Vinci was perhaps sitting in a quiet studio in Italy, sketching the flight of birds or the mysterious smile of a portrait. Christopher Columbus had not yet set sail across the Atlantic. The printing press was a brand new invention, just beginning to spread knowledge across the continents. All that time, as empires rose and fell, as cities were built and forests grew, as your own ancestors lived their lives, that specific beam of light was traveling. It moved through the absolute cold, past clouds of cosmic dust and the silent orbits of unknown planets, never stopping, never slowing, until finally it reached the atmosphere of Earth, passed through your window, and found you. It is a ghostly light, a remnant of a star as it existed half a millennium ago. There is something deeply peaceful about that delay. It reminds us that we are part of a much longer story, a cosmic timeline that moves at a pace far beyond our daily worries. Because of this immense distance, astronomers sometimes wonder if Antares is even the same star today as the one we see. A red supergiant is in the final stages of its life. It is possible that in the 500 years it took for that light to reach us, the star has shifted, cooled, or changed its shape. We are looking at a memory, a beautiful, glowing archive of the past. It is as if the universe is keeping a record for us, showing us the beauty of yesterday in the stillness of tonight. As this ancient light washes over the constellation, it begins to define not just the bright points, but the deep shadows that lie between them. The Scorpion is not just made of fire. It is also made of the dark spaces that give it form. These shadows hold their own secrets, stories of how the shape of the Scorpion has changed over time, not just in reality, but in the way humans have perceived it. Long before it was the compact figure we recognize today, its reach was much longer, its presence even more imposing in the dark. To understand the Scorpion, we must look beyond its bright heart and into the parts of its body that were once hidden or perhaps taken away. The Scorpion we see today, though striking and complete in its own right, is actually a smaller version of its ancient self. If you were to travel back in time, past the Renaissance, past the Middle Ages, and into the world of the ancient Babylonians and early Greeks, the Scorpion would appear much more formidable. It possessed two long-reaching claws that stretched far out into the darkness of the sky, claiming a much larger territory among the stars. These stars, which we now recognize as the constellation Libra, were once the very tips of the Scorpion's grasping arms. They were known simply as the chelae, the pincers that guarded the heart. There is a lingering echo of this ancient anatomy in the names of the stars themselves. If you look toward the scales of Libra on a clear night, you will find two stars with names that sound like a soft rhythmic chant. Zuben-esh-Shamali and Zuben-Oguluk. These names, derived from ancient Arabic, translate literally to the northern claw and the southern claw. Even though we have categorized them into a different sign of the zodiac in our modern maps, their names remain as a permanent linguistic record of their original identity. They are the phantom limbs of the Scorpion, still reaching out across the celestial sphere, forever connected to the body they were separated from thousands of years ago. You might wonder why the ancient astronomers decided to redraw the boundaries of the sky, effectively amputating the Scorpion's reach. The change happened gradually, but it was formalized most notably by the Romans about 2,000 years ago. They desired a zodiac that was perfectly balanced, consisting of 12 equal parts to match the 12 months of the year and the cycles of the sun. To achieve this symmetry, they took the Scorpion's elongated claws and reimagined them as the scales of justice. the only inanimate object in the entire zodiac. It was a shift in the human narrative, moving from the wild, instinctive nature of the creature to a symbol of law, order, and equilibrium. In a way, it is a comforting thought. Even the constellations, which seem so eternal and unchanging, have their own histories of transformation. They have been shaped by human imagination, their stories edited and refined as we sought to make sense of the world around us. But while the names and the borders changed on our paper maps, the stars themselves never moved. They continued to burn with the same steady light, indifferent to whether we called them claws or scales. They simply existed in the quiet dark, as they do right now, performing their slow, graceful dance across the vacuum of space. As you think about these ancient stolen claws, let your mind drift back to the present moment. The history of the stars is vast, spanning thousands of years, but your own history in this moment is very small and very peaceful. The air in your room is still. The world outside has slowed down, its noises muffled by the heavy blanket of the night. You are safe in this space, tucked away from the reaching claws of the day's worries and the sharp edges of the waking world. Take a slow, deep breath in and let it go. Feel the way your body rests against the mattress, supported and heavy. There is no need to reach for anything now. The scorpion has its heart, and the scales have their balance, and you have this quiet time to simply be. Everything is exactly where it needs to be. As we settle deeper into this stillness, we can begin to look past the individual stars and the stories we tell about them and peer into the deep, hidden pockets of the constellation, the places where the light of suns gives way to something even more mysterious, hidden in the folds of the deep sky. As we continue to drift through the silent expanses of the scorpion, let us take a moment to come back to ourselves. Take a slow, steady breath in, and then, very gently, let it all out. Feel the air moving through you, a quiet tide that rises and falls without any effort at all. With every exhale, imagine any lingering tension in your shoulders or your neck simply dissolving, melting away into the softness of your pillow. Notice the weight of the blankets resting over you. Feel the texture of the fabric against your skin, the warmth it holds, the security it provides. It is a heavy, comforting presence, like a shield against the rest of the world. In this moment, there is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go, and no problems you need to solve. Your only task is to listen, to breathe, and to let the stillness of the room settle over you like a fine silver mist. The room around you is a sanctuary of quiet. The shadows in the corners are soft and familiar. The distant sounds of the world outside, the far-off hum of a car, or the rustle of wind in the trees, only serve to emphasize how safe and peaceful it is right here, in the center of your own private universe. You are perfectly supported. You are perfectly at rest. Now, as your body grows heavier and your mind becomes as calm as a mirror-still lake, we can turn our gaze back toward the heavens. But this time, we aren't just looking at the bright points of light that make up the scorpion skeleton. We are going to look deeper. We are going to look into the dark spaces between the stars where the true mysteries of the constellation are hidden. In the vast three-dimensional ocean of space, the constellation of Scorpius acts as a doorway. If you were to point a powerful telescope at what looks like empty darkness near the scorpion's tail, you would find that the void is not empty at all. It is teeming with life of a different kind, celestial life. There are clouds of glowing gas that look like delicate lace, and dense knots of ancient stars that have stayed together for billions of years, huddled like travelers around a campfire. These are the deep space objects, the hidden treasures of the night sky. They are too far away for our eyes to see their colors, and too faint to be noticed by a casual glance. They exist in a state of perpetual quiet motion, evolving over timescales that we can barely imagine. As we peer into these hidden pockets of the constellation, we begin to see that the universe is not just a collection of distant suns, but a complex, beautiful tapestry of light and shadow, birth and transformation. Let your imagination drift now away from the solid ground and into the velvet depths of the southern sky. We are moving past the rival of Mars, past the heart of the Scorpion, and into the regions where the stars are born and where they go to fade away. It is a place of profound silence and incredible beauty, where the laws of physics create art on a scale that defies comprehension. As we drift toward the curve of the stinger, we encounter a vision of transformation, a ghostly shape emerging from the darkness, a testament to the cycle of life and death that plays out across the cosmos. It is a reminder that even in the cold vacuum of space, there is a kind of delicate, fragile beauty that persists, waiting for us to notice it in the quiet of the night. As we drift further into the dark, near the very tip of the Scorpion's tail, we encounter one of the most beautiful and haunting sights in our galaxy. It is known officially as NGC 6302, but most people simply call it the Butterfly Nebula. Imagine, if you will, a pair of delicate, glowing wings stretching out across the blackness of space. They look like gossamer silk, or perhaps the finest lace captured in a moment of eternal flight. These wings are made of superheated gas, glowing with soft pinks, whites, and oranges. From our distance, they look perfectly still, a frozen portrait of grace. But the reality of this celestial butterfly is a story of incredible silent power. At the center of these wings, hidden behind a thick, dark veil of cosmic dust, lies a dying star. This star was once much like our own sun, but it has reached the end of its long life. In its final stages, it has begun to shed its outer layers, casting them off into the void. What we are seeing is a cosmic exhalation. The gas that forms these wings is being ejected from the star at speeds that are almost impossible to grasp, over 600,000 miles per hour. If a jet on Earth traveled that fast, it could circle the entire world in less than 3 minutes. Yet, because the nebula is so vast, stretching for trillions of miles, this violent motion appears to us as a slow, serene unfolding. It is a paradox of the universe, an explosion so massive and so fast that it looks like a peaceful dream. The temperature within these wings is equally staggering. The gas is heated to more than 36,000 degrees Fahrenheit, glowing with the energy of the star's final struggle. And yet, as you lie here in the coolness of your room, you can simply watch this light as a gentle glow. The heat and the speed are millions of miles away, softened by the immense distance of the vacuum. In the silence of space, there is no sound to accompany this transformation. There is no roar of engines or crashing of waves. There is only the quiet, steady expansion of light into the dark. The Butterfly Nebula reminds us that even in the moments of ending, there is a profound beauty. The star is fading, yes, but in doing so, it creates something breathtakingly complex. It scatters the elements it forged in its core, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon, out into the galaxy, where they will one day become the seeds for new stars and perhaps even new worlds. It is a graceful exit, a slow-motion dance that has been unfolding for thousands of years. As we let the image of the butterfly fade into the soft shadows of our mind, we move just a little further across the celestial map. We are leaving the glowing clouds of gas behind and moving toward a different kind of light, a light that is much, much older. Near the bright heart of the Scorpion, there is a different kind of hidden treasure, one that looks like a shimmering eye watching from the depths of time. We are drifting toward a cluster of stars so ancient they have seen the very beginning of our galaxy. We are moving toward the Cat's Eye Cluster. As we drift closer to the heart of the Scorpion, just a hair's breadth away from the glowing red supergiant Antares, we find a shimmering smudge of light known as Messier 4, or more evocatively, the Cat's Eye Cluster. To the naked eye, it might look like nothing more than a faint, fuzzy stir, but through the lens of a telescope, it unfolds into a breathtaking tapestry of light. This is not just a random collection of stars. It is one of the oldest neighborhoods in the entire galaxy. When you look at the Cat's Eye, you aren't just looking into space, you are looking back into deep, ancient time. This cluster is what astronomers call a globular cluster, a tightly packed, spherical swarm of tens of thousands of stars, all held together by their mutual gravity. It is one of the closest such clusters to our own solar system, sitting about 7,000 light-years away. But its proximity is not nearly as impressive as its age. The stars within the Cat's Eye are nearly 13 billion years old. To put that in perspective, our own sun is a mere child at only 5 billion years old. The stars in this cluster were already ancient when the Earth was nothing but a cloud of dust. They have sat in this tight formation since the very dawn of the Milky Way, surviving the long, slow evolution of the cosmos. There is something almost haunting about looking at this cluster. It can feel a bit eerie, the way these stars have endured for so long. They are the first generations of stars, the cosmic ancestors of everything we know. They are made of the raw, original material of the universe, lacking the complex metals and elements that modern stars like our sun possess. They are quiet now, burning low and steady, like embers in a hearth that has been glowing for an eternity. Imagine a great glowing ball of light, packed so densely that if you lived on a planet and inside that cluster, your night sky would never be dark. It would be a permanent, brilliant twilight, filled with the glow of 1,000 suns, each one an ancient witness to the history of the galaxy. There is a strange, quiet weight to this realization, a feeling that you are being watched by the very first eyes of the cosmos. These stars have seen galaxies collide and new stars ignite, yet they remain largely unchanged, huddled together in the dark. In the stillness of the night, as you lie comfortably in your bed, it is soothing to think of such permanence. These stars have been there for billions of years, and they will be there for billions more, a steady and unwavering presence in the deep velvet of space. But while the cat's eye cluster reveals its age through visible light, there are other parts of the Scorpion that remain entirely hidden from our human eyes. Just beyond these ancient shimmering stars, the constellation holds secrets that can only be detected by instruments that sense the invisible. We are moving away from the light we can see, the soft glow of ancient suns, and toward a source of energy so powerful and so strange that it changed the way we understand the very fabric of the universe. We are drifting toward the invisible, toward the ghostly radiation of Scorpius X1. As we move deeper into the heart of the Scorpion, we must look beyond what our human eyes can perceive. The universe is filled with light that exists outside the narrow band of the rainbow we are familiar with. There are whispers of energy, silent and invisible, that hum through the vacuum of space. And within this constellation lies one of the most powerful of these whispers. In 1962, a small rocket was launched into the atmosphere, carrying instruments designed to look for X-rays from the moon. Instead, it found something much more profound, a brilliant, pulsing source of energy deep within the tail of the Scorpion. This was Scorpius X1, the very first cosmic X-ray source ever discovered outside our own solar system. If we could see X-ray light, this point would be one of the brightest objects in the entire night sky, second only to the sun. But because our eyes are tuned to the soft, visible glow of stars, Scorpius X1 remains a hidden mystery, a ghost in the machine of the cosmos. At its center is a celestial pair locked in a slow, gravity-bound dance. One of these partners is a normal star, perhaps not so different from our own. The other, however, is a neutron star, a tiny, incredibly dense remnant of a star that exploded long ago. Though it is only about the size of a small city, it holds more mass than our entire sun. The relationship between these two is one of quiet, constant exchange. The gravity of the neutron star is so immense that it acts like a giant magnet, reaching out across the void to pull material away from its companion. Imagine a delicate, swirling bridge of gas spiraling through the darkness from the larger star toward the smaller, heavier one. This gas doesn't just fall. It accelerates to incredible speeds, heating up to millions of degrees as it nears the neutron star's surface. It is this intense heat that causes the system to glow with X-ray radiation, bathing the surrounding space in a light we can only detect with the most sensitive of instruments. It is a strange thought, isn't it, that as you lie here in the stillness of your room, there is an invisible radiation from a distant star system passing through the air around us. It is completely harmless, filtered by our planet's thick atmosphere, but it serves as a reminder that the universe is far more layered and complex than it appears on the surface. There are forces at work, gravity, magnetism, and light, that weave a tapestry far richer than we can see with a simple glance at the stars. This celestial Scorpion, with its hidden X-ray heart and its ancient clusters of stars, was named by our ancestors because of its striking resemblance to a creature they knew well. But the connection between the stars and the animal is deeper than just a shape. Both the constellation and the creature it represents possess a sense of quiet, enduring mystery. As we let the X-ray glow of Scorpius X, one fade into the deep velvet of the background, we bring our focus back down to the earth, to the quiet shadows of the desert and the cool forest floor. Just as the stars in the sky have endured for billions of years, there is a creature right here among us that has mastered the art of survival over hundreds of millions of years. We are moving from the vast, energetic vacuum of space to the ancient, steady pulse of life on our own world, exploring the biology of the animal that gave this constellation its name. As we settle back into the quiet comfort of the present moment, let's consider the creature that shares its name with those distant stars. The scorpion is not just a symbol or a shape in the sky. It is one of the most successful and enduring life forms our planet has ever known. While we often think of the stars as the ultimate keepers of time, there is a biological lineage right here on Earth that rivals the constellations in its steady, unchanging presence. If we were to travel back in time, past the age of our ancestors, past the era of the first mammals, we would still find scorpions. They have been walking the Earth for over 430 million years. To put that into perspective, they appeared in the fossil record during the Silurian period. At that time, life was only just beginning to experiment with living on dry land. The first plants were small, simple things, and the vast majority of life still drifted in the cool, silent depths of the oceans. And yet, there was the scorpion, already recognizable, already possessing that iconic curved tail and those steady, grasping claws. They are the ultimate witnesses to history. They were here long before the first dinosaur ever took a breath. They watched as the great reptiles grew to impossible sizes, dominating the land for millions of years. And when the world changed, when the giants vanished, and the earth grew cold and then warm again, the scorpion remained. It did not need to grow larger or faster or more complex. It had already achieved a kind of biological perfection that allowed it to endure through 5 major mass extinction events. While other species were forced to adapt or perish, the scorpion stayed remarkably consistent. A fossilized scorpion from hundreds of millions of years ago looks almost identical to one you might find today under a cool stone in the desert. It is a living bridge to a world we can only imagine, a world of ancient swamps and silent primordial forests. There is something deeply reassuring about a creature that has found its place in the world and held on to it for so long. It suggests a rhythm to life that is patient and slow, a way of existing that doesn't require constant change or frantic movement. The scorpion simply is, and it has been for nearly 500 million years. This stability is a testament to how well suited they are to the shadows of our world. But as we look closer at this ancient survivor, we find that its body holds secrets that are just as mysterious as the stars themselves. Its biology is a collection of strange, specialized traits that have allowed it to thrive in the dark for eons, surviving in some of the harshest environments on the planet. One of the most hauntingly beautiful of these traits is something that only reveals itself when the sun goes down, and a different kind of light begins to shine upon the desert floor, it is a secret written into their very skin, a hidden glow that connects the earthbound creature back to the luminous mysteries of the night sky and the deep, velvet darkness of the desert, where the only light usually comes from the distant, flickering stars of Scorpius. There is a phenomenon that seems almost supernatural. If you were to walk across the cooling sands with a special kind of light, an ultraviolet lamp, the world would suddenly transform. From the cracks in the rocks and the shadows of the scrub brush, the scorpions would emerge, not as dark, camouflaged predators, but as glowing, ethereal spirits. Under ultraviolet light, every scorpion, regardless of its species or where it lives, radiates a brilliant, ghostly can. It is a neon, electric blue-green that looks as if it were plucked directly from a nebula in deep space and poured into the creature's very skin. This isn't a light they produce themselves from within like a firefly or a deep-sea fish. Instead, it is fluorescence. Their tough outer shell, or cuticle, contains specific chemicals, substances with complex names like beta-carboline, that absorb the invisible ultraviolet rays from the moon and the stars and re-emit them as this visible, haunting glow. Even more remarkable is that this glow remains long after the scorpion is gone. A fossilized scorpion, millions of years old, can still fluoresce under the right light. Even a shed skin left behind in the dust will continue to shine with that same otherworldly blue. It is a permanent part of their being, a signature of their existence that persists through time. But here is where the science takes a quiet, humble turn into mystery. Despite decades of study, we still don't truly know why they do it. There are many theories, of course. Some researchers suggest it might be a form of ancient sunscreen, protecting them from the sun's harsh rays during the brief moments they are exposed. Others wonder if it helps them find one another in the dark, or perhaps it acts as a lure for the insects they hunt, many of whom are naturally drawn to ultraviolet light. One of the most fascinating ideas is that the scorpion's entire body acts as a single giant eye. By sensing the glow of its own skin, the scorpion might be able to tell if it is truly hidden in the shadows or if it is exposed to the light of the moon. If even a tiny part of its tail is catching the moonlight and fluorescing, the scorpion's nervous system can detect that subtle change, telling it to crawl deeper into the safety of the dark. In this way, their very skin becomes a bridge between the physical world and the light of the heavens. It is a beautiful thought that a creature so ancient and so grounded in the earth carries a piece of the sky's logic within its body. When you see that cyan glow, it feels less like a warning and more like a reflection. It is as if the scorpion is a mirror, catching the faint, invisible whispers of energy from the cosmos and turning them into something we can see. It connects the small, scurrying life on the desert floor to the massive burning stars of the constellation above. Both are luminous in the dark, both are ancient, and both remind us that even in the deepest shadows, there is a light waiting to be revealed. This inner radiance is just one of the ways the scorpion has mastered the art of survival. Its body is not just a tool for hunting or a vessel for ancient light. It is a fortress of biological resilience. Just as it can transform invisible light into a visible glow, it can endure physical extremes that would be impossible for almost any other living thing. This resilience goes far beyond their glow. It is etched into their very cells, a testament to a design that has been refined over hundreds of millions of years. In the high deserts, where the nights can turn from scorching heat to a biting crystalline cold in a matter of hours, the scorpion has mastered a survival trick that seems almost supernatural. It is a feat of biological endurance that challenges our understanding of what it means to be alive. If you were to find a scorpion on a particularly freezing night, tucked beneath a stone or a ledge of shale, it might appear to be nothing more than a small carved statue of ice. In those moments of extreme cold, the scorpion can actually be frozen solid. Its heart stops beating. Its breathing ceases. The fluids within its body become still and rigid. To any observer, it would seem that the life within it had finally flickered out, surrendered to the harshness of the environment. But as the first light of dawn begins to warm the sand and the ice crystals begin to soften and turn back into dew, something quiet and miraculous happens. As the temperature rises, the scorpion simply wakes up. It begins to stir, its legs stretching out as if from a long, deep slumber. Within minutes, it is walking across the desert floor as though the night's frozen embrace had never happened. It does not need to recover or heal. It simply resumes its life exactly where it left off. There is something profoundly reassuring about this kind of hardiness. It reminds us that life in all its forms is incredibly stubborn. It wants to persist. It wants to endure. The scorpion carries within it a biological blueprint for survival that allows it to weather the most inhospitable conditions imaginable. It has been known to survive levels of radiation that would be fatal to almost any other creature on Earth, up to 100 times the dose that a human could withstand. It can live for a full year without a single meal, slowing its metabolism down to a mere whisper of its usual self, waiting patiently for the world to provide what it needs. When we think of the cosmos, with its vast distances and its cold, empty voids, it can sometimes feel overwhelming. But the scorpion is a reminder that life is built to handle the dark. It is built to handle the cold. It is a tiny, ancient anchor of resilience, proving that even the most delicate-looking creatures possess a strength that is nearly unbreakable. This strength isn't loud or aggressive. It is silent, patient, and enduring. It is the ability to wait, to hold on, and to eventually thrive once the conditions are right. As you think of the scorpion's quiet strength, let that sense of hardiness settle over you like a warm weight. Just as the scorpion finds safety in the stillness of the desert night, you are safe here in the stillness of your own space. The world outside may be vast and complex, but right now, your only task is to exist in this moment of peace. Take a slow, deep breath in, feeling the air fill your lungs with a gentle coolness. And as you exhale, feel the tension leaving your body, moving away like the receding tide. There is no need to be resilient right now. There is no need to be strong or to endure. You have reached the part of the day where you can simply let go. Allow your thoughts to drift back to the image of the stars, those distant points of light that have watched over the scorpion for eons. The same stars are watching over you now, their light traveling through the silence of space to reach your window. The universe is a place of great mystery, but it is also a place of profound order and ancient rhythm. You are a part of that rhythm. You are connected to the stars, to the earth, and to the quiet, enduring life that moves across it. Listen to the silence of the room around you. Notice how it wraps around the edges of your thoughts, softening them. The world is tucked away for the night, and you are invited to do the same. The heartiness of life means that tomorrow will be there, waiting for you. But for now, the only thing that matters is the softness of your pillow and the slow, steady rhythm of your breath. You are resting, you are safe, and you are exactly where you need to be. As you settle deeper into this moment of stillness, take a gentle breath and notice the temperature of the air in your room. Perhaps it feels cool against your cheek, a subtle contrast to the warmth gathered beneath your covers, or maybe it is perfectly temperate, a soft, invisible weight that surrounds you like a cocoon. Allow yourself to simply be aware of it without needing to change a thing. Now, bring your attention to the muscles in your face. We often carry the day's stories in the corners of our eyes and the set of our jaw. Let that go now. Feel your forehead smooth out, becoming as calm and clear as a mirror of dark water. Let your eyes rest deeply in their sockets. Release your jaw, allowing your tongue to rest gently. Feel the relaxation spread from your brow down to your neck and then into your shoulders, which sink a little further into the mattress with every exhale. You are becoming as still as the night itself. In this quiet state, we can return our gaze to the heavens. The stars of Scorpio are still there, hanging in the deep indigo of the vacuum, indifferent to time. It is interesting to think about how we, as humans, have claimed these stars. We have drawn lines between them, turning a three-dimensional expanse into a two-dimensional picture. We do this because the human mind is a master of pattern recognition. We find faces in clouds, voices in the wind, and characters in the stars. This desire to find meaning is a fundamental part of our psychology. When we look at the constellation of the Scorpion, we aren't just looking at light, we are looking at a mirror. For centuries, the sign of Scorpio has been associated with depth, mystery, and a certain kind of quiet power. It is often described as the most intense sign of the zodiac, a symbol of transformation and the hidden things that lie beneath the surface. But why do these descriptions often feel so accurate? Why does it feel sometimes as though the stars are speaking directly to who we are? As we drift further into the night, we begin to move away from the physical properties of the stars and into the landscape of the human mind. We start to explore the intersection of ancient myth and modern psychology, looking at how our brains process the unknown. The way we interpret the personality of a constellation says as much about our own inner world as it does about the positions of the planets. It is a gentle dance between the objective reality of the cosmos and the subjective experience of being alive. We look into the dark, and our minds provide the light of understanding, creating a bridge between the infinite sky and the intimate self. This process of finding ourselves in the stars is not just a matter of ancient lore. It is a reflection of how our brains are wired to seek out patterns, even where none might truly exist. This psychological phenomenon has a name: the Barnum effect. It is the curious way our minds take a broad, vague statement and fold it until it fits the exact shape of our own lives. When we read that a Scorpio is deeply intuitive, intense, or guards their secrets with a quiet ferocity, we often feel a sudden, soft jolt of recognition. It feels as though the universe has been watching us, noticing the things we thought were hidden in the private corners of our hearts. The Barnum effect suggests that these descriptions are like a warm, oversized blanket. They are designed to fit almost anyone who chooses to wrap themselves in them. We are naturally drawn to the idea of being mysterious, of having depths that others cannot easily see. It is deeply comforting to feel that our complexities are written in the stars, validated by a celestial map that existed long before we were born. We feel called out by these traits because we want to be seen. We want to believe that our inner world, which can sometimes feel chaotic or lonely, is actually part of a larger, more beautiful design. Our brains are naturally wired to seek out these connections. In the stillness of the night, the mind does not like to be idle. It reaches out into the darkness, searching for a story to tell itself. This is why we see a scorpion in a scatter of distant suns, and why we see our own personality in a list of ancient characteristics. We are pattern seekers by nature. We take the cold, indifferent facts of the physical world, the temperature of a star, the distance of a nebula, and we weave them into a tapestry of meaning. It is a way of making the vastness of space feel a little more like home. We want to believe that the darkness is not just empty space, but a place where our own stories are being kept safe, reflected back to us in the glow of distant fusion. This search for patterns and stories is what led the ancients to create the great myths that still haunt our maps of the sky. They didn't just see a scorpion, they saw a character in a cosmic drama. They saw a creature with a specific purpose, a silent actor in a story that explains why the stars move the way they do. As we consider the psychology of how we see ourselves in the stars, we begin to see how those stories were built to last, passed down through generations, until they became a part of how we perceive the night. One of the most enduring of these tales is the one that explains why the scorpion seems to be in a state of perpetual motion, forever linked to another famous figure in the night sky. It is a story of a hunt that never ends, a celestial chase that spans the entire dome of the heavens. To understand the scorpion's place in the sky, we must also look at its greatest rival, the mighty hunter, Orion. Their relationship is one of the oldest stories ever told, a myth that explains a very real and very beautiful astronomical observation. It is a legend that gives a voice to the silent stars, turning the movements of the spheres into a poem of pursuit and escape. As we let our minds drift, we can almost see the two figures moving across the velvet sky, locked in a dance that defines the changing of the seasons. The legend tells of Orion, the great hunter, who once boasted that no creature on earth could defeat him. His pride was so vast that it reached the ears of the gods, or in some versions of the story, the Earth Mother herself. To humble him, a single, silent scorpion was sent forth. It was not a grand beast of myth, but a small creature of the dust, proving that even the mightiest can be brought to a standstill by the most modest of forces. To keep them from ever clashing again, the story says they were cast into the heavens on opposite sides of the world, placed into a state of eternal separation. In the physical reality of our night sky, this myth translates into a beautiful rhythmic symmetry. They are celestial opposites, separated by nearly 180 degrees of space. This means that for those of us watching from Earth, Orion and Scorpius are almost never in the sky at the same time. They are like two actors sharing a stage, but never appearing in the same scene. As the curved, glowing tail of the Scorpion begins to peek over the eastern horizon on a balmy summer evening, the bright, familiar belt of Orion is already dipping quietly below the western edge, retreating into the shadows. It is a celestial game of hide and seek that has lasted for millennia, a chase that has no beginning and no end. There is a profound peace in this arrangement. The hunter is always fleeing, and the Scorpion is always pursuing. Yet the distance between them remains constant and unbridgeable. They move in a slow, stately rotation, governed by the turning of our planet, ensuring that the night remains balanced. When you see the heart of the Scorpion, Antares, pulsing with its deep red light, you can be certain that the blue-white stars of Orion are resting far below the horizon, waiting for their own turn to watch over the world in the colder months. This eternal dance provides a sense of continuity to our lives. We know that as one season fades, another is waiting just out of sight, signaled by the rising and setting of these great figures. The Scorpion doesn't just represent a creature, it represents a marker of time, a guardian of the summer nights. And as it glides through the darkness, it does not travel through empty space. It moves along a path that is rich with the very fabric of our galaxy, positioned in one of the most crowded and complex neighborhoods of the Milky Way. If you look closely at the tail of the Scorpion, where it curves upward toward its stinger, you might notice that the background of the sky begins to change. The bright, hazy band of the Milky Way, which looks like a splash of white light across the velvet dark, suddenly seems to divide. There is a vast, shadowy path that cuts through the center of our galaxy's glow, a region known to astronomers as the Great Rift. It is as if a river of darkness is flowing through the stars, and the Scorpion is perched right at its edge, a silent sentinel, watching over a deep cosmic mystery. This rift is not a place where stars are missing, but a place where something hidden is waiting to be understood. As you follow the elegant, sweeping curve of the Scorpion's tail, reaching toward the stars that mark its stinger, the darkness of the Great Rift becomes more than just a gap between the lights. It begins to feel like a physical presence, a heavy, velvet curtain draped across the stars. For centuries, as early astronomers looked up at these ink-black patches within the Milky Way, they were struck by a sense of profound mystery. To the naked eye, it looks as though someone has reached out and erased parts of the sky, leaving behind nothing but an empty, hollow void. They call these areas coal sacks, or holes in the heavens, believing they were looking through a tunnel into the absolute nothingness of deep space. But the truth, discovered only as our instruments grew more sensitive, is perhaps even more awe-inspiring. These are not empty voids at all. They are vast, cold clouds of interstellar dust and molecular gas, so thick and so wide that they block the light of everything behind them. When you look at the dark patches near the tail of Scorpio, you aren't looking at nothing. You're looking at something so massive that it has the power to swallow the light of billions of stars. Imagine, for a moment, the sheer scale of what is hidden. Behind those dark clouds lies the very heart of our galaxy, a region packed with suns so numerous and so bright that if this dust weren't there, our night sky would look entirely different. Instead of a soft, hazy band of light, the sky would be ablaze with a golden, celestial fire, bright enough to cast soft shadows on the ground beneath you as you sleep. But this dust acts as a guardian of the night, softening the glare and creating these quiet, dark spaces where our eyes can rest. The particles that make up these clouds are incredibly fine, finer than the soot from a candle or the smoke from a dying fire. They are tiny grains of carbon, silicates, and frozen water, drifting in the silent vacuum. Though they are smaller than a speck of dust in your home, they are gathered in such inconceivable numbers that they form a barrier thousands of light years long. It is a strange thought to hold as you drift toward sleep, that something so small, when gathered together in the silence of space, can hide the greatest fires of the universe. There is a deep rhythmic peace in these voids. They remind us that in the universe, as in our own lives, our silence and darkness do not mean that nothing is happening. Sometimes the most important things are the ones we cannot see. These clouds are the quietest places in the galaxy, frozen and still, yet they hold a weight and a significance that anchors the entire structure of the Milky Way. They are like the shadows in a quiet room. They give depth and shape to the light, allowing the stars of Scorpio to stand out in even sharper, more brilliant relief. As you lie there, let your mind settle into that darkness. It isn't a cold or frightening dark. It is the darkness of a heavy blanket, a protective layer that keeps the secrets of the galaxy safe. Within those clouds, the temperature is only a few degrees above absolute zero, the coldest possible state in nature. It is a place of total undisturbed stillness, a cosmic hush that has lasted for millions of years. And yet, this stillness is an illusion. Deep within that impenetrable blackness, the universe is not just waiting. It is preparing. The very dust that hides the stars is the same material that will one day become them. We are looking into the shadows of a great workshop where the lights have been turned low and the work of creation is happening in the most beautiful, silent secrecy. Inside those dark, cold curtains of dust, gravity is performing a slow and ancient dance. It is a quiet, invisible tug that has been happening for millions of years, pulling at the stray molecules of hydrogen and the microscopic grains of carbon. These are the stellar nurseries of the cosmos, the places where the universe begins again, hidden away from the prying eyes of telescopes by the very material that will one day shine. Imagine the stillness inside one of these clouds. If you were to find yourself drifting in the heart of a star-forming region in Scorpio, you would be surrounded by a silence so profound it is almost heavy. In our world, we associate great power with great noise, the roar of an engine, the crack of lightning, the thundering of a waterfall. But in the deep sky, the birth of a sun is a silent affair. There is no sound to accompany the collapse of a gas cloud that is trillions of miles wide. There is only the slow, relentless pressure of gravity drawing everything toward a single central point. As the gas becomes denser, it begins to heat up. It glows with a faint infrared light that our human eyes cannot see, a secret warmth growing in the middle of the freezing void. This is the creepy silence of creation, a massive, world-shaping event occurring in total eerie stillness. It is the sound of 1 billion tons of matter falling inward, yet producing not even a whisper. It is a reminder that the most significant changes in the universe often happen without any fanfare at all, in the quietest corners of the night. This process is part of a beautiful, eternal cycle. The dust that makes up these dark nurseries isn't just random debris. It is the ash left behind by stars that died billions of years ago. When an ancient star reaches the end of its life, it breathes its outer layers into space, scattering the elements it created, carbon, oxygen, iron, into the vacuum. Eventually, those elements drift together to form the dark clouds we see in Scorpio today. We are looking at the ghosts of the past being recycled into the lights of the future. It is a comforting thought to hold as you drift toward sleep, that in the cosmos nothing is ever truly lost. Death is simply the gathering of materials for a new beginning. The atoms that once belonged to a star are now the dust in a nursery, and one day they will be part of a new sun, perhaps even a new planet, or the life that walks upon it. As we trace these dark, star-filled clouds toward the tail of the scorpion, we notice that they do not respect the boundaries we have drawn on our star maps. The celestial dust spills over, blurring the lines between Scorpio and its neighbors. In particular, it drifts into a region of the sky that has long been a source of mystery and even a bit of controversy. Just above the sting of the scorpion lies a vast, often overlooked constellation that sits directly on the path the sun takes through the sky. For thousands of years, we have spoken of the 12 signs of the zodiac, but the stars themselves tell a slightly different story, one that includes a 13th figure, standing quietly in the shadows of the scorpion's tail. This figure is Ophiuchus, the serpent-bearer. Imagine a tall, steady man standing with his feet planted firmly near the tail of the scorpion. In his hands, he holds a massive serpent that winds across the sky, its body split into 2 halves on either side of him. It is a quiet, sprawling constellation, one that doesn't have the same bright, iconic shape as the scorpion, but it holds a secret that often surprises those who look to the stars for guidance. When we think of the zodiac, we think of the 12 familiar signs that have been passed down through the centuries. But the sun, in its annual journey across the sky, does not strictly follow that ancient list. As the Earth orbits the sun, our star appears to travel along a path called the ecliptic, a golden highway through the heavens. For a brief period in late November, the sun passes through the uppermost part of Scorpio, but then it moves directly into the stars of Ophiuchus, where it stays for nearly 3 weeks. In fact, the sun spends more time in this hidden sign than it does in Scorpio itself. It is a strange, quiet irony. that the sign so many of us identify with is the one the sun visits for the shortest amount of time, while it lingers in a constellation most have never heard of. You might wonder why this 13th sign was left out of the stories we tell thousands of years ago when early astronomers in Babylon were mapping the heavens. They sought order and symmetry. They divided the sky into 12 neat slices like the hours on a clock or the months in a year. 12 is a friendly, balanced number. It can be divided by 2, 3, 4, and 6. 13, however, is restless and uneven. And so Ophiuchus was quietly set aside, left to stand in the background while the 12 signs took center stage. It remains there still, a silent observer of the zodiac, a reminder that the universe is often more complex and less orderly than the systems we create to describe it. It is a peaceful thought, really, that even in the well-mapped sky, there are hidden spaces and forgotten figures waiting for those who are willing to look a little closer. There is no need to feel unsettled by this shift in the stars. The constellations have not moved, only our interpretation of them has changed over the eons. The serpent-bearer doesn't demand our attention. He simply exists, holding his serpent in the stillness, a guardian of the deep sky. But as the sun continues its slow, golden arc through the year, it eventually leaves the serpent-bearer behind, and our own gaze drifts back toward the sharp, bright points of the scorpion's tail. We move away from the mysteries of the zodiac and return to the physical reality of the stars that make up this ancient celestial hunter. Our focus narrows, following the elegant curve of the scorpion's body, tracing the joints of its armor until we reach the very end, the stinger. Here, hanging in the dark like a warning and a wonder, is a star that holds its own complex secret. It is known as Shaula, a name that comes from the Arabic word for the raised tail. To our eyes, it looks like a single point of light, steady and unwavering in the night, a brilliant blue-white spark marking the dangerous tip of the scorpion. But if we were to zoom in, to fly across the vast gulf of light years and see it as it truly is, we would find something far more intricate than a lone sun. Shaula, the stinger, is a place of incredible complexity hidden behind a mask of simple brilliance. To our eyes, looking up from a backyard or a quiet park, it is a single sharp point of light, the second brightest in the entire constellation. It sits at the very end of the scorpion's tail, a cold, blue-white spark that seems to pierce the velvet dark of the southern sky. But as we draw closer in our minds, moving past the atmosphere and into the silent vacuum of space, that one point begins to divide, then divide again. Shaula is not a lonely sun like our own. It is a triple star system, 3 massive, powerful suns, bound together by the invisible, unyielding hands of gravity. If you were to stand on a planet orbiting this system, the sky would be a dizzying display of light and motion. There is the primary star, a massive subgiant nearly 11 times the mass of our sun, burning with a fierce hot intensity. Very close to it, so close they are almost touching in cosmic terms, is a second star, another heavyweight sun that circles its partner in a rapid, energetic loop. And further out, watching this intense pair from a distance, is a third companion, a smaller, younger star that rounds out the family. They are locked in a celestial waltz, that has lasted for millions of years. This is the gravitational tug-of-war that defines the stinger of the scorpion. Imagine the immense forces at play here, the way these three massive bodies pull and push on one another, their paths woven together into a complex, shimmering braid. They are millions of miles apart, yet they can never truly leave each other. Every movement one star makes is felt by the others. A subtle shift in position, a slight change in velocity, all dictated by the silent math of the universe. There is a strange, quiet beauty in this kind of complexity. We often think of the stars as static, fixed points in a frozen sky, but Shala reminds us that the universe is always in motion. It is a slow, rhythmic motion, a dance performed on a stage so vast we can barely comprehend its scale. The blue-white light we see from the stinger is the combined energy of these three suns, their voices blending into a single steady note that reaches us across the depths of space. As you contemplate the triple dance of Shola, let the image of those three suns spinning in the dark settle into your mind. Think of the way they move, predictable, steady, and certain. There is no chaos there, only the long, slow pull of gravity, a force that has guided the stars since the beginning of time. It is a heavy, grounding thought. Take a moment now to bring your focus back to the room around you. Just as those stars are held in their orbits, you are held here, safe and still by the gentle weight of gravity. Feel the pressure of the mattress beneath you, the way it supports your shoulders, your hips, and your legs. Notice the way your blankets rest against your skin, a soft, warm layer between you and the cool air of the night. Take a slow, deep breath in and let it out even more slowly. The stars of the scorpion's tail are far away, millions of miles and hundreds of years of light removed from this moment. Out there, the three suns of Shala continue their eternal orbit, spinning in the silence. But here, in the quiet of your room, there is only the rhythm of your breathing and the stillness of the night. Your mind can let go of the complex dances and the gravitational pulls. You are anchored. You are heavy. You are drifting closer to the edge of sleep, where the light of the stars becomes a soft, distant memory. As we leave the stinger of the scorpion behind, we begin to look beyond the physical stars themselves, moving into the deeper, quieter reaches of time. The constellations we see tonight are only a brief snapshot in the long history of the cosmos. To understand the scorpion, we must look not just at where it is, but at the vast stretches of time that have shaped it. Allow your thoughts to soften, like clouds drifting across a moonlit sky. If a thought about the day or a worry about tomorrow floats by, simply acknowledge it, and then let it go. It is like a distant star, visible but far, far away, having no power over the peace of this moment. Let your focus blur, moving away from the sharp points of light and into the soft, dark spaces in between. We are moving now into the concept of deep time, where centuries feel like seconds, and the life of a star is but a heartbeat in the silence of the infinite. As you lie here, feel the gentle pull of the earth beneath you. It is a constant, quiet force, much like the gravity that holds the stars of Scorpio in their ancient places. You are safe. You are held. There is nothing you need to do right now, and nowhere else you need to be. If your mind is still active, If thoughts of the day are still flickering like distant lightning on the horizon, that's perfectly all right. Don't try to push them away with effort. Instead, imagine those thoughts are like high, thin clouds passing over the face of a midnight moon. They don't change the moon's steady silver light. They just drift by, wispy and temporary. You don't need to catch them. You don't need to solve them. Just watch them float until they slowly dissolve into the dark blue of the night sky. With every breath out, another cloud drifts further away, leaving the sky of your mind a little clearer, a little darker, a little more peaceful. Let the edges of your awareness soften even further. You don't need to hold on to the sharp points of the stars anymore. Let your focus blur, moving away from the bright sting of the scorpion and into the soft velvet spaces in between. The darkness between the stars isn't empty. It is a quiet, restful cradle. It is the silence that allows the light to be seen. We are stepping now into a realm that astronomers call deep time. It is a concept that asks us to set aside our clocks and our calendars. To us, a single year is a long journey of seasons and changes. But to the stars we have been discussing, 1,000,000 years is but a single slow breath. The Scorpio we see tonight, that familiar curve of stars, is just one frame in a very long, very slow motion picture. In the scale of deep time, the universe is not a frantic place. It is patient. It is unhurried. Stars take millions of years to wake up within their dusty nurseries, and millions more to drift across the galaxy. When we look at the constellation, we are looking at a snapshot of a much larger movement. Everything is in motion, but it is a motion so grand and so steady that it feels like stillness. Take a moment to let that sense of cosmic patience settle into your bones. There is no rush. There is no deadline in the stars. There is only the long, rhythmic unfolding of the universe, moving at its own pace, governed by laws that have existed since the beginning. You can let go of the need to keep up. You can let go of the need to be productive. In the context of the stars, your only task right now is to exist, to breathe, and to rest. As we move deeper into this quiet, we begin to see that the stars of Scorpio aren't just random points of light. They have histories. They have families. They belong to groups that have traveled together across the light years for eons. In the next part of our journey, we will look at one such family, a collection of stars born from the same cloud of gas, drifting like siblings through the dark, marking the passage of time in ways we can only begin to imagine. But for now, just feel the weight of your body, the softness of the air, and the infinite patient stretch of time that surrounds us all. Imagine a great glowing nursery of gas and dust, vast enough to swallow entire solar systems. Millions of years ago, a massive cloud like this began to ripple and collapse under its own weight, giving birth to a family of stars. This family is known to astronomers as the Scorpius-Centaurus Association. It is the closest group of young, massive stars to our own solar system, and many of the bright lights that form the body of the Scorpion belong to this single ancient lineage. When we look up at the constellation, we aren't just seeing a random collection of lights. We are looking at siblings. These stars were born from the same cradle of interstellar gas, sharing the same chemical fingerprint and the same original momentum. They are a moving group, a celestial caravan traveling together through the vast dark ocean of the Milky Way. Even though they appear fixed to our eyes, they are all drifting in the same general direction, at the same steady pace, like a fleet of ships sailing across a mirror-still sea. Think of them as brothers and sisters who spent their infancy huddled together in a nest of glowing nebula. As they matured, they began to move outward, venturing into the wider galaxy. Over millions of years, the distance between them has grown, and they are slowly, patiently drifting apart. They are like siblings who grew up in the same house and have now moved to different cities, yet they still carry the same history in their bones. By analyzing the light of these stars, scientists can see that they are made of the same materials, born at the same moment in the grand timeline of the universe. There is something deeply comforting about this shared journey. Even in the immense vacuum of space, these stars are not truly alone. They have companions that share their origin, moving silently alongside them through the eons. Most of the stars in this association are blue-white and incredibly hot, burning with a fierce, youthful energy. But because they are so large and burn so brightly, their lives are shorter than a star like our sun. They live fast and they live grandly, marking the passage of deep time with their brilliant, steady glow. As they drift, some of these siblings eventually reach the end of their long journey. In the silence of the constellation, not every star is a vibrant, burning sun. Scattered among the bright, youthful members of the Scorpio-Centaurus Association are the remnants of those who came before, the stars that have already finished their primary lives and transitioned into a different state of existence. Just as a forest contains both young saplings and the quiet, fallen trunks of ancient trees, the region of Scorpio is home to stellar ghosts. These are the dead stars, the cores that remain after a sun has exhausted its fuel. They no longer burn with the same fusion that powers the bright stars of the Scorpion's heart, yet they possess a different kind of intensity, a quiet, heavy presence that lingers in the dark. As we leave the drifting family of living stars behind, we move toward these silent remnants, exploring the strange and heavy mysteries of the stars that have collapsed into themselves, becoming something far more dense and far more mysterious than they ever were in life. Deep within the boundaries of the Scorpion, if you look past the brilliant blue giants and the red supergiant Antares, you find the quiet remnants known as white dwarfs. These are stars that have finished their primary life cycle. They have shed their outer atmosphere in a gentle glowing shroud, leaving behind only their inner core. This core is no longer performing nuclear fusion. It is no longer creating new energy. It is simply a hot, dense ember, cooling very slowly in the refrigerator of space. Imagine a star that was once as large and bright as our sun, but has now reached its final chapter. It has condensed so much that it is now roughly the size of our own planet Earth. To picture the scale of this, think of the vastness of the sun. Over 1 million Earths could fit inside it. Now, imagine all that mass, all that weight and gravity squeezed down until it fits into the volume of a single planet. It is a transformation of incredible proportions, turning a soaring sphere of gas into a solid, compact diamond-like sphere of matter. This process creates a material so dense it defies our everyday understanding of weight. The gravity on the surface of these white dwarfs is hundreds of thousands of times stronger than what we feel here on Earth. If you were to travel to one of the white dwarfs hidden in the tail of Scorpio and scoop up just a single teaspoon of its material, that small amount would weigh as much as several elephants or a fleet of heavy trucks. It is matter packed together so tightly that the atoms themselves are crushed, huddled together in the dark. Despite this incredible density and the weight of their existence, white dwarfs aren't dark. They glow with a pale, ghostly light. This isn't the light of a new fire, but the lingering, radiating warmth of a fire that burned for billions of years. They are cooling very slowly, over time scales so long that the universe itself isn't yet old enough for any white dwarf to have completely cooled down into a black dwarf. They are the ultimate survivors, patient and heavy, sitting in the velvet dark of the constellation like glowing pearls. As you lie there, feel the weight of your own body against the bed, much like the heavy, settled nature of these stars. There is a peace in that weight, a sense of being firmly rooted and unmoving. In the stillness of the Scorpio night, these white dwarfs are the anchors, the silent witnesses to the passage of eons. But sometimes these silent, heavy ghosts are not as solitary as they seem. In the crowded neighborhoods of the Scorpion's tail, a white dwarf might share its corner of space with a companion, a living star that is still burning bright and full of gas. When these two exist in a close orbit, the intense, unseen gravity of the white dwarf begins to reach out across the void. Like a ghost reaching for the warmth of a fire, it begins to pull on the outer layers of its neighbor, drawing gas and energy toward itself in a slow, silent process that astronomers sometimes call stellar cannibalism. This invisible bridge of light and heat marks the beginning of a strange and beautiful transition, where the dead begin to feed on the living. In the dense, star-rich regions of the Scorpion's tail, these heavy white dwarfs are often found in the company of others. They exist in binary systems, two suns locked in a gravitational embrace, swirling around a common center of gravity like dancers on a darkened stage. But in many of these pairings, the dance is a lopsided one. It is a process of stellar cannibalism, where the dead star begins to slowly, patiently consume its living companion. Imagine these two stars suspended in the velvet blackness. One is a vibrant, burning sun, perhaps similar to our own, full of warm hydrogen gas. The other is the white dwarf, small, incredibly dense, and possessed of a gravitational pull that is disproportionate to its size. As they orbit one another, the white dwarf's gravity reaches out like an invisible hand, brushing against the outer atmosphere of its neighbor. This creates what astronomers call a gravitational bridge. It is a literal stream of matter, a river of glowing plasma that begins to leak away from the larger star and flow toward the white dwarf. This gas doesn't just fall in a straight line. The conservation of momentum forces it to spiral, forming a vast, glowing ring known as an accretion disk. It looks like a whirlpool of liquid fire, spinning slower and slower as it nears the surface of the white dwarf. There is a strange, quiet tension in this image, a slow-motion cosmic consumption. The white dwarf is a thief in the night, stealing the very essence of its partner, atom by atom, layer by layer. Yet, in the vacuum of space, this process is entirely silent. There is no roar of rushing gas, no sound of the massive gravitational forces at work. It is a silent transfer of energy, a luminous bridge spanning the void between life and death. As you breathe in slowly, imagine the patience of such a process. This theft doesn't happen in an afternoon or a year. It unfolds over millions of years, a steady rhythmic siphoning of light. The donor star, the one being eaten, slowly loses its mass, its outer layers thinning out as it feeds the insatiable hunger of its compact neighbor. The white dwarf, in turn, grows slightly heavier, its surface flickering with the stolen heat of its companion, glowing with a borrowed brilliance that keeps it from fading into the dark. This interaction is a reminder of how everything in the universe is connected by the invisible threads of gravity. Nothing exists in total isolation. Even the stars, separated by trillions of miles of emptiness, find ways to touch one another, to exchange matter, and to change each other's destinies. But as we look at this intimate local struggle between two stars in the heart of the Scorpion, we can begin to pull our focus back further. Just as the white dwarf pulls on its companion and the stars of Scorpio pull on one another, the entire constellation itself is part of a much larger journey. These stars, along with our own sun and every planet we have ever known, are not just drifting aimlessly. We are all being drawn across the cosmos by a force far greater than any single star. Deep in the direction of the Scorpion's tail, far beyond the stars we can see with our eyes, lies a gravitational mystery that is pulling our entire galaxy toward a destination we are only just beginning to understand. If you follow the curve of the Scorpion's tail, reaching out past the stinger and into the deep velvet blackness of the southern sky, you're looking toward one of the greatest mysteries in modern astronomy. Beyond the stars we can name, and even beyond the furthest reaches of our own Milky Way, there is a silent, invisible force acting upon us. Scientists call it the Great Attractor. It is a massive gravitational anomaly, a point of such immense density that it is currently pulling our entire galaxy and hundreds of thousands of others toward it. Imagine for a moment the scale of this movement. Our sun, our earth, and every star in the constellation of Scorpio are part of a vast cosmic river. We are all drifting together, drawn by a destination we cannot yet see. This isn't a chaotic or violent pull. It is a steady, rhythmic migration across the deep. It is as if the universe itself has a gentle current, and we are floating along its surface, guided by a gravity so grand it encompasses millions of light years. The reason this force remains so mysterious is due to a region astronomers poetically call the zone of avoidance. Because the constellation of Scorpio sits so close to the crowded, dusty center of our own galaxy, the thick clouds of interstellar gas and the brilliance of billions of stars act like a heavy curtain. They block our view of the space that lies directly behind them. We are like travelers in a forest trying to glimpse a distant mountain through a dense thicket of ancient trees. The Great Attractor sits hidden behind this veil of galactic dust, a silent conductor directing the movement of the stars from behind the scenes. As you lie there, perfectly still, you might feel a sense of wonder at the thought of being part of such a grand journey. Even as you rest in the quiet of your room, you are traveling. You are moving through the cosmos at nearly 1.5 million miles per hour. drawn toward that distant, hidden point in the direction of the scorpion's tail. And yet, because the scales of space are so vast and the movement is so uniform, there is no jolting, no rushing wind, and no sensation of speed. It is the smoothest journey imaginable. It is a slow-motion glide through the infinite, a movement so graceful that it feels like standing perfectly still. This movement is a reminder that the universe is never truly stagnant. Everything is in a state of gentle, purposeful flow. The great attractor isn't a threat. It is simply the center of gravity for our local corner of the cosmos, the heart of a supercluster of galaxies known as Laniakea, a name that means immeasurable heaven. We are all part of this immeasurable heaven, held in the soft grip of a gravity that knows no bounds. The zone of avoidance that hides this mystery is not a place of darkness, but a place of hidden potential. It reminds us that there are always things moving beneath the surface, forces working for our balance that we cannot see with our eyes. We can trust in the steady path of the stars. We can trust in the quiet pull of the deep. There is a profound peace in knowing that even the largest structures in existence move with a silent, unhurried patience. This great cosmic migration happens in a state of absolute profound stillness. Even as entire galaxies are drawn across the void, they do so without a whisper. In the space between the stars of Scorpio and the distant mystery of the great attractor, there is no air to carry a vibration, no medium to hold a sound. The universe performs its most spectacular feats in a theater of perfect velvet silence. That silence is one of the most profound characteristics of the space within the Scorpion's boundaries. It is a fundamental truth of the cosmos that we often forget in our noisy world. The universe is inherently quiet. Sound, as we know it, requires a medium, air, water, or solid ground, to carry its vibrations from one place to another. But the vast stretches of space between the stars of Scorpio are a near-perfect vacuum. There is no air to carry a shout, no atmosphere to hold a whisper. It is a realm of absolute crystalline stillness. Imagine, for a moment, the immense star Antares, that glowing red heart of the Scorpion. If that star were to reach the end of its long life tonight and undergo a massive supernova, an explosion so powerful it could outshine an entire galaxy, there would be no roar. There would be no thunderous boom echoing across the light years. Instead, it would be a silent blossoming of light, a graceful expansion of color and energy that moves through the void with the quietness of a falling petal. The greatest orchestra in the universe plays its most dramatic movements without a single note. This is because in the vacuum of the constellation, the laws of physics have created a sanctuary of absolute unbroken quiet. This silence isn't empty. It is full of a deep, resonant peace. It is the kind of silence that allows the mind to truly rest, free from the constant vibration and noise of our waking lives. On Earth, we are surrounded by the rustle of leaves, the hum of electronics, the distant murmur of life. But out there, among the stars of the Scorpion, there is a stillness so perfect it has remained undisturbed for billions of years. It is a reminder that at the very core of existence, there is a place of rest, a place where nothing needs to be said and no sound needs to be made. It is a vast cosmic library where the only thing that moves is the light. As you think about that celestial silence, let it settle over you like a soft, heavy blanket. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to go anywhere. The silence of the scorpion is a reflection of the silence you are cultivating right now in your own space. It is a safe silence. It is the silence of a room where the lights have been dimmed and the world has been tucked away for the night. There is a profound comfort in knowing that the universe, in its most grand and expansive form, is a place of quiet. It doesn't demand your attention with noise. It simply exists, steady and hushed, waiting for you to find your own rhythm within it. Feel the way your breath moves in this quiet space. In the absence of external noise, your own internal rhythm becomes a soothing melody. It is a soft, rhythmic sound, the only sound that truly matters right now. Just the gentle rise and fall of your chest, a small, steady anchor in the vast, peaceful ocean of the night. You are here, safe in the stillness, mirroring the tranquil vacuum that cradles the stars. The world outside has slowed to a crawl, and the silence of the stars has found its way into your room, bringing with it a sense of total, uncomplicated peace. Take a moment now to simply notice the sensation of your breath moving in and out. There is no need to change it or force it into a specific rhythm. Just observe it as it is, a quiet, natural cycle that has been with you since the moment you were born. Feel the cool air as it enters through your nose and the slightly warmer air as it leaves. With every exhale, imagine that you are releasing any lingering tension from the day, letting it dissolve into the shadows of the room. Your body knows exactly how to rest. It is designed for this stillness. Notice the weight of your body against the mattress. Feel the way the surface beneath you supports you completely without you having to exert any effort at all. Your shoulders can drop a little further away from your ears. The small muscles around your eyes can soften. Even your jaw can relax, leaving a tiny space between your teeth. You're sinking into a state of deep, effortless comfort. The room around you is dark and set, a private cocoon where the outside world cannot reach you. The door is closed, the lights are low, and the only thing that exists in this moment is the peaceful rhythm of your breathing and the gentle journey we are taking through the cosmos. In this darkness, your senses are calm. The walls of your room are like a protective boundary, keeping the busyness of life at bay, just as the stars of the Scorpion are cradled in the vast, velvet expanse of the universe. You are cradled here in this quiet space. There is a beautiful symmetry in that, the way the smallest atom and the largest galaxy both find their stability in the dark. You are part of that balance. You are a quiet observer of the great celestial dance. Safely tucked away in your own corner of the world, the stillness here is your sanctuary, a place where time seems to slow down, allowing you to simply be. As we begin to move toward the conclusion of our journey tonight, let your mind remain in this state of soft focus. We have traveled across hundreds of light years from the massive, glowing heart of Antares to the ancient, tightly packed clusters of stars that have watched the galaxy grow and change. We have seen the resilience of life on Earth and the strange, invisible forces that pull at the fabric of space itself. Each fact we have explored is like a small, steady light in the distance, illuminating the mystery of the Scorpion without ever breaking the peace of the night. The journey isn't over yet, but we are entering the final, most tranquil chapters. We are moving deeper into the clusters, into the places where the stars are so old and so close together that they tell stories of time we can barely imagine. But for now, just stay here in the quiet. Feel the safety of your room. Feel the steady beat of your heart. You are exactly where you need to be, and the universe is continuing its slow, silent rotation above you, watching over your rest with a billion ancient eyes. The darkness is not a void. It is a presence, a gentle hand resting on the world, signaling that it is time to let go of the waking world and drift further into the stars. The air in your room is cool and still, mirroring the peaceful vacuum we described earlier. There is no wind here, no sudden movements, just the steady, reliable presence of the objects around you. Everything is in its place. You are secure. As we drift back toward the shimmering clusters in the Scorpion's tail, let that sense of security anchor you. We are going to look closer at the stars that seem to defy the rules of time, the ones that hide within the crowded centers of the constellation, waiting to reveal their final secrets. Keep your eyes closed, keep your breath easy, and let the next part of the story unfold in the quiet theater of your mind. As we drift deeper into the crowded ancient heart of the globular clusters within Scorpio, we encounter a phenomenon that seems to defy the very laws of stellar aging. In a place like the M4 cluster, the stars are like a vast family of siblings, all born from the same nebula at roughly the same time, billions of years ago. By all accounts, they should be aging together, fading into the same mellow, golden red hues of old age. Yet, when astronomers look closely into these dense pockets of light, they find something that shouldn't be there, stars that look suspiciously young. They are bright, hot, and vibrantly blue, standing out against their ancient neighbors like a sudden spark in a bed of dying embers. Astronomers call these mysterious celestial bodies blue stragglers. These stids have found a way to cheat time, appearing to lag behind the aging process of the rest of the cluster. But they haven't found a fountain of youth. Instead, they have engaged in a slow, silent process of rejuvenation. In the tightly packed centers of these clusters, where stars are crowded together like people in a quiet, dimly lit room, gravity creates intimate connections. Sometimes two stars will begin a long, slow dance, orbiting one another so closely that their outer layers begin to touch. Over millions of years, the more massive star will gently, steadily pull hydrogen fuel away from its companion, sipping on its energy in a process known as mass transfer. In other instances, two stars might move so close that they eventually merge entirely, colliding in a silent, slow-motion embrace to become a single, much larger and much hotter sun. Because they sustain their brilliance by taking mass from others, these stars are sometimes referred to by the curious name of vampire stars. In the quiet of the night, however, this name feels too harsh for such a beautiful process. It is better to think of it as a form of cosmic recycling, a way for the universe to spark a new vivid light from the remnants of the old. There is no violence in this theft of fuel, only the inevitable, patient pull of gravity. The resulting blue straggler burns with a fierce, youthful intensity, a brilliant blue sapphire set against a backdrop of ancient amber light. Imagine that cool blue glow washing over you now, a soft and steady light that has found a way to start over, to begin its life anew in the middle of a very old neighborhood. This celestial rejuvenation reminds us that even in the deepest, oldest parts of the universe, there is still room for change and new beginnings. But even these stars, with their stolen youth, are bound by the immense, crushing scale of the cosmos. Their lives, though extended by a few 100 million years, are still just a brief, flickering moment when compared to the life of the galaxy itself. We often perceive time in the ticking of a clock or the rhythm of our own breath. But out here, in the tail of the Scorpion, time is measured in the slow, sweeping arcs of stellar evolution. Take a slow, deep breath and let the concept of this vastness settle over you. As we watch these blue lights shimmering in the distance, we begin to realize that our own sense of time is very small and very precious. The stars have been there long before us, and they will remain long after we have finished our rest. There is a profound comfort in that scale, the knowledge that we are part of a system so large and so enduring that our worries and the busyness of our days are simply lost in the silence between the stars. The blue stragglers continue their quiet, stolen lives, unaware of the telescopes watching them from Earth, existing on a scale of time that makes the rise and fall of civilizations look like the blink of an eye. We are moving now from the strange individual lives of these stars toward an even broader perspective, looking at the Scorpion not just as a collection of suns, but as a permanent fixture in the history of our world. As we look up at the familiar curve of the Scorpion's tail, it is natural to feel a sense of absolute permanence. To our eyes, these stars appear anchored in place as if they were jewels sewn into a heavy velvet curtain that never moves. In our short lives, we see the moon wax and wane, the seasons turn, and the years pass by, but the Scorpion remains exactly where it has always been. This is because the stars are so incredibly far away that their actual movement through space, what astronomers call their proper motion, is almost impossible to detect with the naked eye over a single human lifetime. If a traveler had looked up at this same patch of sky 5,000 years ago, during the very dawn of the first great civilizations, they would have seen the same hooked tail and the same glowing red heart that you can see tonight. The Scorpion is a bridge across history, a silent, steady witness to every story humanity has ever told. But even 5,000 years is just a tiny drop in a very deep bucket. Astronomers have calculated that the stars making up Scorpius are moving through the galaxy in such a way that the constellation will retain its recognizable shape for at least the next 50,000 years. Take a moment to let that number settle in your mind. 50,000 years. Long after our current cities have changed, long after the languages we speak today have faded into the whispers of history, the Scorpion will still be there, arching across the southern sky in the exact same way. It is a scale of time that dwarfs all human concern, yet it isn't meant to make us feel small in a way that is frightening. Instead, there's a profound, heavy comfort in that thought. In a world that often feels like it is moving too fast, where everything is constantly shifting and demanding our immediate attention, the stars offer us the gift of something that does not change. They are the ultimate constants. They do not hurry. They do not rush. They simply exist in a state of timeless, quiet dignity. As you lie there now, feel the weight of your blankets and the stillness of your room. You are connected to that same stillness. You are part of a universe that values the long, slow passage of time. You don't need to worry about the future or the past right now, because the stars have already seen it all, and they are not troubled. They are steady, they are patient, and they are watching over your rest with that same ancient, unblinking gaze. Imagine the earth spinning slowly, a quiet marble in the dark, while the scorpion hangs above it, unchanging and resolute. This constancy allows us to let go of the day's frantic pace. We are shifting now toward the very final chapters of our journey through this corner of the galaxy. Even the most permanent things in the cosmos must eventually face a transition, a moment of profound transformation. As we drift closer to the edge of sleep, we can begin to contemplate the final beautiful fate of the brightest star in this ancient assembly, and what its light will mean for the nights yet to come. Even as we find comfort in the scorpion's long-lasting shape, we must eventually look closer at the heart of the beast, at the magnificent red supergiant Antares. While the constellation as a whole feels eternal to us, Antares is actually nearing the very end of its long and storied life. In the grand, sweeping timeline of the cosmos, Antares is in its twilight years. It has lived fast and grown old, burning through its nuclear fuel with a quiet, cooling intensity that gives it that distinct ruby-red glow. Because it is so massive, its fate is already written in the laws of physics. One day, Antares will undergo a transformation so profound that it will change the night sky forever. It will go supernova. When we hear the word supernova, we might think of something violent or chaotic, but from our vantage point, hundreds of light years away, it would be a moment of silent, breathtaking beauty. Astronomers tell us that when the core of Antares finally collapses and the star releases its outer layers, the resulting flash of light will be so intense that it will rival the brightness of the full moon. Imagine stepping outside on a quiet evening, thousands of years from now, and seeing a second moon in the sky, a tiny, piercingly bright point of light that casts soft, long shadows across the grass. This new star would be so powerful that it would be visible even during the day, a brilliant diamond hanging in the pale blue of the afternoon. For several weeks, the sky would be bathed in this extra light, a final radiant performance by the heart of the scorpion. It is a beautiful thought, a star that has watched over humanity for so long, giving us one last spectacular gift of light before it fades away. But even in fading, it does not truly disappear. The explosion of a supernova is the universe's way of recycling. All the complex elements that Antares has spent millions of years forging in its hot, pressurized core, the iron, the oxygen, the silicon, will be scattered across the void. These elements will drift through the darkness for eons until they eventually settle into new clouds of dust and gas, becoming the raw materials for new suns, new planets, and perhaps one day new life. The heart of the scorpion will become the heartbeat of something entirely new. But as you lie here now, tucked safely in the warmth of your bed, you don't need to worry about when this will happen. It could be tomorrow, or it could be 1,000,000 years from now. The uncertainty of the cosmos is not a source of stress, but a reason to appreciate the present moment, right now. And Therese is still there, pulsing gently in the deep southern sky, a steady red beacon in the dark. It is doing exactly what it is supposed to do, and you are doing exactly what you are supposed to do. You are resting. You are letting the weight of the day dissolve into the mattress beneath you. Feel the rhythm of your breathing, as steady and natural as the life cycle of a star. In and out. The air is cool and still. The room is quiet. The great transitions of the universe happen on scales of time we can barely imagine. And because of that, we are free to let go of our tiny daily concerns. The stars are handling the heavy work of the galaxy. They are burning, they are drifting, and they are eventually transforming, all in perfect, silent order. You are part of that same order. You are a collection of stardust that has found a quiet place to rest for the night. As we move into the final moments of our journey, let the image of that soft red light fade into a deep velvety black. The light has done its work. The night is here to hold you. You are safe, you are still, and you are ready to drift into the deepest parts of the dark. We have traveled so far tonight, and yet you haven't moved an inch from the perfect comfort of your bed. Together, we have navigated the celestial curves of the scorpion, tracing the line from its bright, beating heart to the sharp, curved tip of its stinger. We've looked through the lens of science at the massive, red supergiant Antares, a sun so large it humbles our understanding of scale. We've peeked through the veil of time to see scorpions as they were hundreds of millions of years ago, survivors of an ancient world glowing under a prehistoric moon. We've explored the stolen claws that now form the scales of Libra, and we've marveled at the butterfly nebula, where gas and light dance in a silent, cosmic exit. Through all these mysteries, the invisible X-rays of Scorpius X1, the vampire blue stragglers stealing youth from their neighbors, and the dark, silent dust clouds of the Great Rift, a single theme has emerged. The universe is a place of incredible order and enduring beauty. Even the things that seem violent or chaotic on a human scale, like a star collapsing or a galaxy being pulled toward the great attractor, happen with a slow, majestic grace that spans eons. There is no rush in the cosmos. There is only the steady, rhythmic pulse of deep time. Allow that sense of timelessness to settle over you now. The facts we've shared tonight are like small, glowing lanterns, lighting the way toward a peaceful and restorative rest. You don't need to remember the distances in light years or the complex physics of a neutron star. Those details can drift away now, like autumn leaves on a still pond, leaving behind only a feeling of wonder and a deep, heavy sense of relaxation. The world outside your window is quiet. The room around you is a sanctuary, a place where the rules of the waking world no longer apply. Feel the soft weight of your blankets, a gentle, reassuring pressure that tells your body it is safe. to fully surrender. Your muscles have nothing left to hold on to. Your mind has no more puzzles to solve. Like the stars in the Scorpio-Centaurus association, you are part of a grand, beautiful system, drifting exactly where you are meant to be. The stars of the Scorpion are watching over the night. They are silent, they are steady, and they are unimaginably patient. They have seen countless nights just like this one, and they will see countless more. There is a deep, resonant comfort in their permanence. They don't ask for our attention or our effort. They simply exist, casting their ancient light across the void to reach us here in this quiet, private moment. As the image of the celestial Scorpion fades into the velvet black of your closed eyes, let yourself sink even deeper into the mattress. The journey is complete. The science, the mysteries are safely tucked away in the far reaches of space. You are safe. You are held by the very laws of nature that govern the suns. May your dreams be as vast and as peaceful as the space between the stars. The night is long, the air is still, and the rest you have earned is waiting for you in the darkness. Sleep now. Sleep deeply. The stars will be here when you wake, but for now, there is only the silence, the warmth, and the dark. Good night.